All right, Jacksonville Jaguars, there you were. You're beating the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins with all these incredible weapons, and you've got the lead going into halftime. You're loving life. Trevor Lawrence throws a touchdown to, the rookie, and we're all excited about Brian Thomas Jr. and, oh, man, looking good. Well, then the second half comes, and who lets us down at the end of the game? None other than Travis Etienne.
No.
I had to take his jersey down off the wall today. I replaced him with George Pickens, who had a nice day. So Travis Etienne fumbles the ball, lets us down there, and then Jacksonville totally allows the Dolphins back in the game. And then at the end of it, how does Evan Ingram do? Nothing fantasy-wise. Christian Kirk, nothing fantasy-wise. Trevor Lawrence, last year, was a disappointment. But you know what? I said, I'm going to give him another shot. He's a former number one pick. We remember 2 years ago what he did when Doug Peterson finally took over after the disaster of Urban Meyer. And, man, they went to the playoffs and got a playoff win. It's like, all right, I'm going to go back to Trevor Lawrence. And then week one, total letdown. Where was Evan Ingram? Where was Christian Kirk? Gabe Davis a little bit. And now all of a sudden we've got the Tank Bigsby getting involved and confusing me and fantasy managers. All right, what does that mean for Travis Etienne? What does that mean for the rest of this offense? What do we do with the Jaguars? You got me boiling today. I'm fed up and fired up after 1 week. So, Trip, am I out of line here? Do I need to be patient? How do we feel about the Jaguars after their kind of meltdown against the Dolphins?
You are not out of line to be boiled up, to be stirred up and angry about this. And imagine being a Jaguars fan. I mean, you had that game well in hand. And what happened is Etienne, about 2 yards away from the goal line on a long run, a Dolphins player, to be fair, makes this great punch tackle and knocks the ball out, fumble, Dolphins recover. And then the very next play was the 80-yard touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill. And it was just like you could feel the Jaguars deflating in that moment. I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence had 160-something passing yards on the day, and about 125 of those were in the first half. So something weird happened with the game plan and with just sort of the demoralization of the team in the second half that makes me less concerned as a fantasy owner of these different players moving forward. I think this was a little bit of a just preseason or beginning of the season, so kind of things just being clunky. And there was just a 2-play turn of events that seemed to demoralize them so much. So I'm not worried yet about Trevor Lawrence. I might actually be going out and trying to trade for Travis Etienne, especially if somebody is nervous about the Tank Bigsby effect. A little more nervous for Ingram and Kirk just because I think that passing volume is going to be distributed between Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr. as well. So maybe some of those pass catchers I'm a little more nervous about, but I'm not ready to sort of throw in the towel on the season for these Jaguars guys yet. But man, what a way to lose a game. You were up 17-7 at the end of the half. And then, they didn't score in the second half. So brutal.
Pathetic. Not good. And guess what I did? We're going to do accountability and confession in just one moment. I benched Jaden Daniels and started Trevor Lawrence over him. Mm-hmm. How silly. I did
the same thing with Anthony Richardson.
Did you?
Put him on my bench for Trevor. Yeah.
Oh.
Said this is going to be a high-scoring game.
Yes.
And
which makes sense. And it should have been. And even Miami wasn't great. Devon Achane had a nice day, and Tyreek did too, but not the Dolphins that we're used to. And they're another team. Give them a week or two. They'll be rocking and rolling in all regards. But I picked up Jonnu Smith in a couple leagues, and he was not a non-factor for the Dolphins. But anyway, it was disappointing to watch. I was happy for Jaden Daniels. He had a great game, but he was on my bench. So that was.
Did he have a great game?
Well, fantasy-wise,
he had a great fantasy
fantasy-wise, but yeah, he's got a ways to go.
We'll talk about the Commanders in a minute.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So anyway, there you go. There's the Jags. But no, I don't like having two receiving threats on the same team. That's like a core principle of mine. But the way that my draft went in a certain league, I have Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, and I started both of them, and I will not do that again. So I'll have to pick Ingram. So Kirk's going to the bench until he shows me what he's got.
I think that's the right decision.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.